it's Lori here. I'm here today to do another video for BookMas. So today's topic that I decided to focus on was debut authors that debuted this year that I really wound up enjoying, and I have a couple of authors to chat with you. I tried my hardest. These are all authors I believe are debuts. If I made any mistakes, I do apologize. And then my next video is going to be authors that just were new to me this year that I really enjoyed. So, the first author that I want to chat through is Abby Elfstone, who I actually read 2 books by this month, but the first one was Casper Talk and the Everdark Rings, and then the Philipster brothers and the Phoenix Tier. So here's one cover. I really wound up enjoying her world building in this one. Like, she had 2 very different books. They're companions, but they are loosely connected. And I just really loved the world building that she created. I thought the characters were super fun. The first character, Casper, reminded me a lot of me when I was a child. Very scared, very timid, kind of forced into an adventure. I also like that it handled, climate change was a topic. The world, however, was so rich. It reminded me that I was reading like a J.K. Rowling book or like a Shannon Messenger story like Keeper of the Lost Cities or Harry Potter. The world was so rich. It was really unique and really different. I really liked the sequel as well. The sequel dealt with like sibling relationships, which are always a little bit sometimes interesting to read about in YA. I mean, middle grade. But I wound up really enjoying it. I really hope she writes more books. She has a backlist that I haven't got around to reading yet. But that was a book that definitely piqued my interest early in the year, so much so that I had to read her second book. And then the next author we are going to chat about is Marissa Cantor, and she wrote What I Like About You, which is a YA bookish themed contemporary. And here's the cover. One of my favorite YA contemporary book tropes is a bookish themed book. And this book was so fun because it included elements from like a book lover's life. It had like BEA in it. Basically followed this young girl, and she winds up having this Instagram where she kind of like takes photos and she kind of pairs books together. And she winds up developing a relationship with this person online that she winds up meeting in real life, and they have a connection. It was just super cute. I really liked it. I loved her writing style. It was a quick, easy story. I read this one on the way home from ALA, like on the train, and I remember just laughing out loud at how funny it was. I haven't looked into if she's coming out with any more books this year, but I will definitely be checking it out. And this book might make one of my top 10 contemporary reads of the year because I really enjoyed it. Found it super fun. As a book lover, I really thought she handled the blogging elements so realistically, but also the romance was super sweet. I also like that there was an element of family dynamics in that story that just put a smile on my face, and I really can't wait to see what she reads next. So the next author that we are going to chat about is Janelle Angeles, who wrote Where Dreams Descend. So this was a book that I heard about really early in 2020 because I actually had an arc from it from New York City Comic Con, and then the hype just kept getting bigger and bigger. I actually met her when I went to ALA. I got my book signed, and then I got the Owls Crate Exclusive Edition when it got pushed because of COVID. It was supposed to come out in June. It came out in August, and I just really love this book. I really enjoyed it. I found the book to be a perfect balance between um, Phantom of the Opera and just a theatery book. I like the magic system. I really love the cover for the second book, which will be coming out, I think, in 2021. I'll have to get a date for you guys, and that will be in one of my list video books I'm excited for. But I just thought it was really unique and different, and I sometimes struggle a little bit with books based on musicals, but I thought she did like a really good job crafting the world, and it had a nice balance of eerie and creepy, but also magic. I thought the story was super compelling and it was fast paced. Thought the ending was a little bit rushed, but other than that, it was another book that really captivated me, and I really enjoyed it. So that's another debut author that I really enjoyed in 2020. And then the next author I'm going to chat about is Adeline Grace, who wrote All the Stars and Teeth. And here's a picture. Sorry, I do have some of these books in my room, but I'm just doing pictures just because it's easier to me gathering them all together. And I don't have a lot of them because I did give them away. But I really wound up liking this book. I sometimes struggle with mermaid reads or like, but you basically follow this character and she's about to become the princess of the realm. But when her getting her powers doesn't go as planned, she has to go on an adventure to get her magic back. And it was really fun. It was a really fun world that she built, and I really liked it. I liked the characters a lot, like the romance a lot. And I actually just got an arc of the second book, so I hope to read it in early 2021. But it just was a really fun novel and really fast paced. I thought it dealt with the fantasy elements really fun, but also it dealt with like the self discovery elements and like her coming into her own power. And I just like the world. I just thought it was unique. It was different. I hadn't read something like that before. And it just again put a smile on my face. And I got that at New York City Comic Con, and then it was in my owl crate. So again, another book that I really wound up enjoying in 2020, and that was a debut. The next book I'm going to chat about is Emma Lord's Tweet Cute, which was another book that I really liked. 2020 was the first year that I really started to read outside of my genre specifications. I normally am very specific. I read only contemporaries in the summer. I read only fantasy in the winter. And this was the first year, probably due to quarantine, that I really was kind of like breaking my habits a little bit. And this was one of the first books I read this year, and I loved it. I thought it was really fun. I thought she wrote just a super fun story. I didn't know this at the time, but she wrote this book set in New York, and she actually lives in New York. So I found it to be like a really just a fun take on it. I like the You Got Mail retelling. I always like the app element of it. I thought I love books that have two point of views. The characters live such different lives. I like that. I like how the You Got Mail story got turned on its head, and I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun concept for a novel. Basically, you follow these two teens. One teen works at her mom's high-powered like restaurant and is involved in the social media account, and then you follow this guy named Jack. It's actually Pepper and Jack. And then you follow Jack, who works for or works for his parents' deli, and they're the big company winds up stealing their recipe for grilled cheese, and then they wind up having a Twitter war. It was adorable. It reminds me of Twitter wars at my college when I went to Wells. We used to have like, well, we used to call them email wars. We used to have email wars, and it just reminded me of that. It was just a fun read, and I really can't wait to pick up her next book, which I'm going to read hopefully this month because I did get an arc of it. But it's just, she wrote such a fun read, was really captivated by the romance, and again, it put a smile on my face. So I'm really excited to read what she reads next, and she's super funny on Twitter as well. So the next author that I'm going to chat about is Holly Jackson, who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is another like super fast-paced thriller mystery where you follow this girl named Piper, I think her name is. And she's trying to prove that this murder that has captivated her town isn't what she thought it was, or the killer isn't who she thought it was. And it was really fun. It was just a really engaging read. There was also like other multimedia elements like case files and the development of a possible podcast, and it was just fun. I really remember enjoying it. I sped through it. I read it super quick. I read it out of season. I read it early in the year, and again, I really liked it. I actually have her second book that's not actually out here, but I picked up a copy from Book Depository that I hope to actually read this month and maybe wrap up this duology soon. But other than that, it was a really, really fun read, and her writing style was a good, quick pace, fast pace, and one that definitely captured my attention. The next author that I want to chat about is Diane Urban, who wrote All Your Twisted Secrets. Photo here. This again was another mystery that I listened to. I thought it was a really interesting concept. You basically follow this group of characters, and they're locked in this room, and they're told that either someone has to die or they're all gonna die from a bomb. And it kind of goes through getting them to that point. It kind of flashes back to the past, goes into the future, and I was really curious to see how it ended. I will admit the ending in this one wasn't my favorite, but the writing style of it, I have one plot twist that I often like struggle with, and I don't want to give it away because it will give away the end of the book. But I liked her writing style. I thought her characters, I thought the structure that she told the story, both past and present, is just a writing style that really works for me. So I really like the writing style overall. I struggled a little bit with the plot twist at the end, but again, another author that I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for, and I have my eye on her next book. I think it's called The Deadly Game. That might be a mistitle, but I really am excited to see what she writes next. And it was definitely a fast-paced story, one that kept me listening for sure. The next book I'm going to chat about is from the author Alex Yacht, who wrote a middle grade book called Seekers of the Wild Realm. Here's a very pretty photo. Is Alexandra Yacht, and ever since I started reading Keeper of the Lost City series, I've been following their imprint Aladdin, which is the one that prints that book, and I've been trying to find some more authors, and that's how I found Abby Elfstone that I talked about earlier in this video. I also found this one. I have a couple other ones on my shelves that I got as ARCs from the ALA convention that I went to over at the start of the year. But I just found this book again to be super charming, a really, really fun world building. It was about this girl who really wanted to be a seeker, and a seeker tries to find, magical creatures. And only boys are allowed to be it. And this little girl is like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to be it. And she winds up getting sucked into this adventure, this competition to be chosen as a seeker. And a little creature she winds up having to save. And it was just so fun. I wonder if we're going to get a sequel. I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't done my mad dive into all the authors that I love this year and see if they're coming out with books later this year, or in 2021, which is what I'm going to do when I'm done filming this video. But other than that, this was a really, really fun read, and one that didn't really get a lot of love, but it has like a fun setting, which is like wilderness and forest, and the world was built fun, and I really love books that have strong female girls in it, but there was also other side characters, and the creatures in this book were definitely just put a smile on my face. And then the next book I'm going to chat about is More Than a Pretty Face by Syed Masoon. I apologize if I'm saying that name wrong, but here's a photo. This is another one of my pet peeves, and I've said this before. I like balanced middle grade and YA literature. I like that there's enough female characters, I like that there's enough male characters, especially lead characters. And I always say this, female characters in both genres especially are much more prevalent. So when I find contemporary books that only have a male point of view, or I find fantasy books that only have a male point of view, I enjoy that because I think, there's a lot of female characters. Female characters are great, but I also think that there needs to be male characters, not to mention just to get more boys to read, I think, but also just because I think that their point of views are equally important. So when I saw this contemporary book that was about a male lead character, I gobbled it up. And this book was really, really good. It follows this Muslim main character who's basically told he's just a pretty face. He's not going to amount to much. But when he gets sucked into doing this young Renaissance men competition to win this, he gets sucked down this path. He gets wound up going into this unexpected relationship that he really wasn't planning. Didn't go the way he thought it was going to go. It was a really interesting read, and one that really made me think. I was not expecting it to be so emotional and so compelling, but it really dealt a lot with race issues with the Muslim community, also the marriage issues that those kids face, the family dynamics, the pressure, and also the school dynamics that he was under. And I really liked it. I really hope that this author writes more books in the future, because he definitely it was a book that really, I didn't expect much of it, but I went in with okay expectations, and it definitely surpassed them. So I'm definitely going to read more by him in the future because I really liked his voice. And then the next book I'm going to chat about is Hannah Howard, who wrote Ignite the Sun. There was a lot of tour company drama this year in 2020. 2020 had a lot of drama because we were home a lot, but there was a couple of new tour companies that kind of popped up, and one was TBR and Beyond touring company, and the first book I wound up reviewing for them, or one of the first, was Ignite the Sun by Hannah Howard, and I really loved her writing style. This book dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety allegories to but it was very, very uniquely crafted. Basically, you live in a world where the sun is the enemy. And I've never seen that before. And darkness was supposed to protect everyone. And every couple of decades, there was a sun child that was born. If you have a sun child, you're killed. And I just thought that was so unique. I've never read a book where the sun was the enemy before. And I thought it was very indicative of like her allegory with depression and anxiety. I like the main character. I love the romance in it. Again, it had another foresty setting. It was another blast from the past romance. And it was just a really fun fantasy read that I wasn't expecting to like so much, but I really did. And I can't remember if it ended off on a cliffhanger or if we're going to get a second book, but I remember really enjoying it. I remember the romance stood out for me, so I was really happy that I picked it up, and we'll definitely check out more books by her in the future. And the next author I'm going to chat about is one that you have probably heard of this year, and that is Leah Johnson, who wrote You Will See Me in a Crowd. This was another book that I like listened to, and I just loved it. I really liked it. I thought it was great. Basically follows this girl named Liz Lighty, and she learns at the start of the book that she got accepted to the college that she wanted to, but she won't be able to attend because she didn't get the scholarship. So the only way she can think to do it is if she enters the beauty pageant, like the prom queen pageant, and wins and gets the money. She is an African American gay teen in this small southern town, which is not exactly the way the town wants these people to be portrayed. They're very racist, they're very sexist, they're very misogynistic. There's a lot of stuff about it. And it was a great read. I could not stop smiling when I read it. I loved it. I loved the relationship that developed. I loved the side characters that were there. It was amazing. It was such a fun read. It really kicked me in the emotions. There was also some representation about like chronic illnesses for side characters that you don't ever see in contemporary reads, and I like that like a lot. I also loved the grandparents in this book, and I just thought the friendship in this book, like the side friendships, were really important, and it dealt with a lot of harder issues, but it was just a fun read. And even though it was fun, I will say it did have some harder issues that were kind of at the base of it, and there was a lot of friendship drama. And I wound up really enjoying it. Wound up giving it 5 stars. We'll definitely check out anything that Leah Johnson writes again. But it was just really, really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And the next book I'm going to chat about is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which I read just recently. Read that I was really excited for, and it was a trans-focused witch-themed novel, which was amazing. It also had like a ghost element, but you basically follow this young man named Yadriel. He's a trans main character, and his family is a bunch of witches, and he's determined to go through his training process so he could become a brujo, but his family's a little bit hesitant, not sure how that's going to work. And when he accidentally does do this thing, he winds up summoning a ghost that he was not planning on summoning, and it kind of leads into a little bit more drama than he was originally planned for. But it was adorable. I loved it. I love the trans self-discovery that was the focus. I also love the side characters that we got. I like the romance that developed. Bar none. Really excited for it. I know he's coming out with a book in early 2021 that's high on my TBR. He's definitely going to become a new favorite author that I have to see more of. But again, I really like the representation in both these 2 stories, both in You'll See Me in a Crown and Cemetery Boys, because it just gave me a point of view about a life that I don't live, and I think that's half the reason that we read, just to like get that point of view, and I was really, really happy with it. The next book I'm going to talk about is Lori M. Lee's Forest of Souls, which here is a picture. Another read that I read specifically for the creepy season, and it was creepy. It was eerie. It captured me. But it basically follows this girl who's determined her goal is to be the queen's assassin. But when she accidentally led to the death of her best friend, she's revealed to be more than she thought she was, and it kind of sends her down a different path. It was really eerie, really creepy. It was such a weird, fun read, and it was perfect. It was great for the Halloween season, and her writing was super captivating. Her descriptions were really eerie and creepy and kept me on the edge of my seat, and I really can't wait to see what book 2 is, because well, there better be a sequel because I'm really excited for it. But yeah, and I also saw the cover was stunning. So that's another book that was just by a debut that really sucked me. And the last book I'm going to talk about in this video is All I Want for Christmas by Wendy Laga. Now, I know she's wrote other books, but this is like her I think it's her YA debut. If I'm wrong, I'm just including her here by accident. I just literally finished this weekend, and I thought this was the most adorable Christmas read. But you basically follow Bailey as she's determined to have a perfect romantic week for a Christmas weekend, and she's determined to have a boyfriend. But she has two boys vying for her affections. It goes in a very interesting direction. There's a cute puppy, there's two boys, there's her. It was adorable. I really liked her writing style and hope she had some more Christmas reads coming up because this one really, really was adorable. And I just had to add it quickly to the end of this video. But those are all of the debut authors in 2020 that captured my attention. I've read a few more debuts that I either didn't like or they weren't my favorite. But these were the authors that I would definitely recommend you try checking out now or in early 2021 because their books really, I really like them, and some of them will definitely make on my top 10 reads of the year list. So let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite debut authors that you read this year, and I'll talk to you guys later or tomorrow for another video. Bye guys.